welcome back to Murder Therapy with Doll Talk and Cousin Ashley.
I'm Cousin Ashley.
In case you didn't know that.
Yeah.
In case you're new here, she's Cousin Ashley. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
Lord, I look terrible.
I think that should be like, if we ever go and eventually get to do live shows or whatever, people introduce you, it should be Cousin Ashley.
Ryan told me you don't have to have 1,000 followers anymore to go live on TikTok.
You don't. You don't. So we'll have to go live on there.
Yeah.
I haven't even checked our following. I've been really about that because the
We're
whole
doing pretty good.
TikTok thing stresses me out right now. I don't like to think about it.
Yeah, because it's still just a continuance, right?
Yeah, it's really weird, and I don't like to talk politics because I want this, you people, I preach you are free to believe in whatever you want to believe in. I'm happy for you if it brings you peace and comfort. I just ask that you don't try to shove your beliefs down my throat. I'm not going to shove my beliefs down your throat. We can agree to disagree, and I just want everybody to get along.
I love everybody. That's
I do. I love everybody too. Me and Mom was having that conversation platform today. People were asking me how I feel about things in our now. I have a pretty big following worldwide. I have people all over the place, from Scotland to Canada to Australia to Switzerland to Japan to China to Malaysia.
So cool.
I don't. Yeah, it is. It's great. So they've asked me how I'm feeling, and again, I don't talk politics, but I just want to reiterate, and I was that regardless of what your skin color is, your sexual orientation, your religious beliefs, you will always have a welcome at my table, and I love you for who you are. And I would never. I don't like this world of hate that we're in right now. That bothers me. Bothers me.
There's such a huge divide, and I hate it.
We are at the biggest divide I think that we have ever been. And, let's be realistic. Racism has always been a thing. It has. And it's never going to go away. There's those select few people who hate people for whatever reason, maybe. Yeah. But unfortunately, and I'm not just pointing on one side or the other. Both parties have made it very acceptable that that's appropriate behavior, and it's not.
It's definitely on both sides. Me. It's not just one side, and I know that from personal experience. I'm not going to say how, but I definitely know it's both sides.
Yeah, so I just want the world to get along. I am that person. I'm like, I want world peace. But we're probably not ever going to see that, Ash, unfortunately. Maybe in the afterlife.
I hope
maybe
so.
In the afterlife. Maybe.
I'm one of those people where I just don't think one human being is above another.
Absolutely
we're all
not.
humans, and I'm not gonna dislike somebody because of something they couldn't control.
Absolutely.
That's skin color. I think other things, but yeah.
Right.
So it's one of those things where, but like I said, it's on both sides. It's just, it is what it is. And you're entitled to feel and think however you want. That's totally fine.
Yes. I just love you. I think I have made my page and my platform and my community that I have built very apparent that we love everybody. And I hope that people recognize that. We love you no matter what.
I just believe everybody's allowed to have their own thoughts, opinions, think, do what they want, live their one life how they want, and
absolutely
watch our podcast.
And don't be rude.
Listen, Jody on TikTok, I absolutely love her getting snippy with people. There was one the other day, and I can't even pinpoint what it was. But I popped in there. I was like, ooh. I look at Ryan. I go, ooh, she's getting someone.
It's hard telling. I like it when people want to tell me I'm going to hell. Those are my favorites. Today, actually, I was called a Satan worshiper, and I invited them to stay for my Satan sacrifice, but they chose not to. People, you're quick.
We're not in woods. We don't have a cop searching every Friday night. For me.
Yeah,
so it's
but
not
maybe
exciting.
I do. Maybe I do.
Hold on, I got my dog open this door. I'm so sorry, you guys.
It's okay. That's fine. You left the fire incident on for me that last week, so.
I did. I did. She's so rude. She just pulls the door open and Ryan's watching a movie. So
She wants to join tonight. She wants to join. But
she's
yeah, yeah,
she's
I
rude.
do. I don't do rude. I don't like rude people, and I will put you in your
It's
place
so
very
funny.
quickly.
It's so funny
Yes,
to watch.
yes.
Watch our lives. You'll
But
see it. I assure you.
but you have a story for me.
I do. Okay.
You promised me a story.
So you can't see it yet. But our lovely background is literally a camera on the floor of a chicken coop, and they're just walking around in the chicken coop. And obviously, you can see we're doing the chicken coop murders.
I
So
know. I'm so excited.
after the last episode that we recorded, I go in and I hand Ryan the hard drive, and I said what we're doing for our next thing if you want to go ahead and make the filter for it. And then a day later, I'm doing the dishes. He says, your filter's done. You want to come look at it? It's pretty cool. And I go in, and it's like a Toy Story type of sky, like blue sky, completely bright white clouds and stuff like that. And I'm like, honey, what? And it was the coolest freaking thing. You know what he thought we were doing? The duck
What?
hunt murders. So he made it
No.
look like duck hunt.
Oh God. Well, we'll keep that for later on if we
Oh,
don't
God.
delete it.
No, it looks
God
so
love it.
cool, but no, we can't use that. Sorry.
I was about to say, with what we're going to dive into today, blue sky, beautiful blue sky definitely does not suit what we're talking
No,
about
you just get
at
chickens roaming
all.
around a coop, guys.
Yes,
That's what you
yes,
get.
but there's so much more that happens as chicken,
I'm
just
ready.
chicken roaming. So yes,
So
and
ready.
as always, Ashley doesn't know this one. Now, this is
What?
another one that I have been really wanting to do because this is two cases that integrate into one kind of thing.
Interesting.
It's just yes, it is very interesting. I'm going to go ahead and unfortunately give you the heads up that this is going to be a multi-parter because
Yeah.
if you're going to cover it, we have to cover everything. Okay, and there's a lot to this. Now, I want to give you a disclaimer. Ashley can't escape. She has to listen to it. But if the murder of children is triggering to you, the talk of abortion is triggering to you, sexual assault being triggering, this might not be the case for you, and that's okay. Tune in a couple of weeks. We will cover something a lot more light and fluffy. We don't really talk about fluffy things. Yeah, light and fluffy, not as, but I'm to give you an idea, Jeffrey Dahmer is my favorite serial killer. We covered him. I don't condone his behaviors. I want to reiterate that again. He was a terrible human being, but
She likes to
I still
study.
advocate. I like to study. I like to understand old Jeff. Jeff was pretty dark, and that was
Old
a really
Jeff.
heavy one. Old Jeff, yeah. Old Jeff was pretty dark. We're going kind of like old Jeff. If that just to kind of give you the
Yes.
underlying, yeah. So this is a dark and heavy one, but it's very interesting. So if you would like to stay, okay, and kind of, I'll try to give you disclaimers when we're getting to some gory things, and you can fast forward because this kind of turns into like a bizarre mystery. It's yeah. All right.
And if you
We're
don't
going
stay,
to
we love you, and we'll see you next
Yes,
week.
we love you no matter what.
Oh, not next
Absolutely.
week. We're doing this next week. Sorry.
Yeah,
We'll see you when
yeah,
this is done.
yeah, we're doing this next week too. I'm going to try to get it done. I think I can get it done in 2 parts, but
Just read
yeah,
the
now,
titles
Mom,
before you enter.
Mom, you have to listen because you're my mother. You don't get to back out.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So, okay, we're going to the 20s. The
Yes.
roaring 20s.
Woo.
Yes, we're going to the 20s.
I'm a
So,
flapper.
yes, what starts this off is Walter Collins. Are you familiar with that name?
No, you said Walter, and I instantly went to Cronkite, so definitely not.
Okay, so Walter Collins, okay, this is what's kind of starts all of where we're about to go to. So Walter's parents were Christine Collins and Walter Joseph Anson. Okay, so he did not take his dad's last name, and I'm going to explain why in just a second.
Interesting.
Now he was born in September of 1918. Okay,
Okay.
his dad ended up in prison for a lot of armed burglaries, and he was very active. He was a convict. Okay, so I don't think that Christine wanted him to take the Collins last name. Listen, I get it. I don't know if they ever got divorced, to be honest. I don't like you get what I'm saying. Like I don't know if they were married while he was incarcerated or what that was, but she gave Walter her last name
Uh,
because dad was in prison.
gotcha.
Now he had been in a lot of trouble, so he kind of became like a police informant, and police would work with him behind bars
Yikes.
as to help, locate particular, criminals, if that makes
He was
sense.
a snitch.
He was a snitch,
Oh,
yes,
we know
yes.
what snitches get.
I don't know if they had gave him some sort of like agreement, like, hey, if you give us information about this person, we'll cut time. I don't know how that worked, but he was a police informant, which meant he had a lot of enemies in the
Oh yeah.
prison and outside of the prison. Okay, so we're going to March 10th of 1928. This is when all of this began. Walter wanted to go to the movies. Christine gave him 10 cents. It's crazy to think that 10 cents got you into
Ten
a movie back
cents.
then. She gave him 10
Take me
cents
back
to
to
go
the
to the cinema.
20s. It was probably expensive
What
back then, but it's fine.
Oh, I'm sure it was. I'm sure. But what Christine didn't know is when Walter left that day that he would never return home again.
Oh,
Yes, I know. We're going in really dark.
I mean, quick.
So time passed. He didn't come home. She's panicking as any mother would. So she immediately starts going out in the neighborhood. Is Walter here? Seen Walter? Some woman said like she saw him near the, some corner or somewhere, waiting. And that's the last known physical appearance of Walter that we know of, if that was true. So
Oh,
she ended
poor
up
Walter.
contacting. I know it. That's like every mother's nightmare, right?
Yeah,
And you got
yeah.
to think in the 20s, you didn't really hear about kids.
You
That's
didn't hear
not
about kids what?
something.
It cut out.
In the 20s, you didn't really hear about kids going missing. That's not.
Yeah.
That wasn't common. It's that was the time that you could let your kids out. They'd go play all day. When the sun, went down, they'd come home and eat dinner. Like, but you didn't hear of that happening a lot. I meant to mention we're also in Los Angeles, California. Okay.
Ooh, okay.
Yes, well, I forgot to mention that we are in Los Angeles, California. So she ends up contacting authorities to report, hey, my son has gone missing. They are not helpful whatsoever. Okay.
It's
At
shitty.
all. They kind of disregard her initial phone call to them as, well, he probably ran away. He'll be back in the morning. And she's like, that's not how my son is.
Yeah.
He would be here and he's not here. There's something wrong.
Why is that?
Okay.
I mean, I get
Now,
that has to be your go-to because you don't want to drain resources by something that you're not serious, like, know that is serious. Like, he's probably at a friend's house, probably this, but, like, at the same time, a missing kid is nothing to play around with, especially when it's time sensitive. And we all have seen, like, I think it's first 48 or something like that, where, like, they count
well,
down.
he was 10 years old. You're talking about a 10-year-old.
No.
Yeah, so I mean, he's not like a teenager.
Yeah.
Where's he going, where's he going to go? So they did, sorry, I got to take a drink. By the
Oh, you're good.
way, I'm battling like a little cold, so sorry off my voice is gonna blah.
Listen,
But
we'll just, like, that's part of episode not last week, and, like, or all the sickness is going around. So, like, we literally recording this at the last minute because Cora's sick and everybody's got
always
going around. So
it never fails. It never fails. So something I want to paint about in the 20s with LAPD, Los Angeles Police Department, they had a terrible reputation. They were not liked. They were very corrupt with their idea of dealing with crime. Their idea of dealing with crime was just take all criminals out. They did like just kill them. Like they didn't they didn't take serious situations very serious. So they had a terrible reputation. And I
Yeah.
just want to reiterate that. So, and people talked about it. People talked about it. The media would talk about, like, look what LAPD has done now.
Jesus.
They were, yeah. And you can look up the history of LAPD, and it talks about how corrupt it was in that time frame. Okay. So, our big detective, this is an important name to remember, Detective Jones, it ends up being active in this because a few weeks go by, Walter's still missing. They're dicking around, not taking the situation very seriously
He's
at
gone for
all.
a few weeks and they're not being serious.
Mm-mm.
Oh.
No, I mean they're checking things, but they're not being very proactive. Okay, so the media ends up getting a hold of this information that there's this 10-year-old boy. He's missing. He's, nowhere to be found. Police department that's not very proactive. We know historically they suck. They're not taking it serious. So once it hits the media, then they start taking things a little bit more serious.
Oh, of
Right.
course.
So
We
so
can't look
they're
that bad.
calling, they're getting leads, they're checking into these leads. Some of these leads are a little bizarre. Some woman called saying that she believes she saw Walter like all wrapped up in like newspapers with no clothes on,
Oh
and
my
then there
god.
was another lead that said that they saw Walter in the back of, a car beating on the window asking for help, and there was a woman and a guy in the seat, which I find probably more believable than a kid being wrapped up in newspapers. That's just saying. But
Yeah.
they started acting on it, okay? Now, 5 months went by, and Christine still has no idea where her son is.
I would. Oh my god. That poor mother.
This went on for 5 months. Mind you, this didn't just hit LA's, papers. This made nationwide news.
Wow.
Okay,
Which
so
is probably
other,
why
yes,
they stepped up and
yes,
actually did anything.
yeah. So police ended up picking up a boy in DeKalb, Illinois, who said his name was Walter Collins.
Hmm.
Yes. So Illinois police contacted LAPD's, they contacted LAPD's office, excuse me, and they're like, hey, we have this boy here who says he's Walter Collins, that he got picked up by a drifter. He's been found. What do you want us to do? So they call Christine, and how do you think Christine responds when she hears that her son is located all the way in Illinois and
I'm
alive?
yeah, I'm sure she's thrilled.
Oh, she was ecstatic.
Yeah.
Like, she was absolutely freaking thrilled. So what they did, because he's in Illinois, she's got to get him back. You got to think Illinois from California, that's a long way.
Yeah.
That's not like next door, just a few hours. She has to get him back.
Oh god, and in
So
the 20s?
yes.
Let's
So
remember
him
that.
and yes, in the 20s. So him and her are writing letters back and forth. She's telling him how much she misses him, how she can't wait to get him home. She saves up enough money. She paid $70 back then. I don't know what that would equate now, to get him from Illinois to California.
Mm.
So in that 2-week period, this meeting gets arranged, right? Because you got to think the media was already on this whole case, right? So the media is going to be there. Missing boy located in Illinois. Now, she had saw pictures of him, like they'd mailed pictures. She's ecstatic. He's coming home. They go. He gets off the train. And when she sees him, she turns around and looks at the media and says, that's not my son.
What?
Mm-hmm. I know. Was you expecting that?
No, because I'm okay. First of all, I just have obviously writing letters takes time. So where they find him and where was he staying for that time to pass for them to write letters back and forth? And then on top of that,
I guess the police was holding on to him in Illinois like, or maybe in a foster care system, or you know what I mean,
She saw
until
pictures of him.
there was pictures that was mailed. Yes. But so she looks at him, she turns around, looks at the media, she's like, that's not Walter. To which the media's kind of like, did they make a mistake? Did LAPD fuck up again like they always
Oh
do?
shit.
Like, yeah. So Detective Jones comes up and he's like, I think you're in shock. He's like, I think, take him home, try him out. That's literally what he said.
Are
Take
you
him home and try it out. Yeah,
get
take
the
him home
hell
and
out of
try it
here?
out. And you have to think she's a grieving mother. She probably hasn't slept well for 5 months.
Yeah.
She probably wasn't taking care of herself the way that she needed to be taken care of for 5 months.
Mm.
Okay. I like, can you imagine? I can't imagine not knowing where my kids are for 5 hours, let alone 5 months.
Yep. No. No, no,
So
no.
she's like, maybe I'm in shock. Maybe, this is a lot.
No.
They take a picture. Okay, and the boy is smiling. He's so giddy. He's reunited with his mom, right? But you can tell on Christine's face, like, she's just like, there's just something not right. There's something.
Did the boy not know that that wasn't his mom? He didn't say anything?
Well, we'll talk. Don't
Oh
worry.
my
We'll talk.
god.
Yeah,
Okay.
patience, Ashley.
I don't
Patience is a
have
virtue.
any.
I know, I know. So I told you would love this one. So they go home, okay? And she notices things. She is very insistent that this is not Walter, okay? And she even would call and tell the police, she's like, I think you've made a mistake, and I think who you think is Walter is not Walter. And they're like, well, why would he say that's his name? And she's like, I don't know. I don't know why he would say he's Walter, but he's not Walter. And they were like, well, we need to do some tests. We need, bring him here. So she brings him to the station. But their idea of tests are not like
Right.
great tests, right? So apparently Walter had a dog. So they put this boy in this room, right? And then they open up. They're like, the dog will recognize him if it's Walter. So
Oh
then
my
they
god.
bring the dog in, and he runs up to the boy and he's licking him and he's all excited like dogs are. And they're like, see, it's Walter. That's his dog.
That's what they stood on. Oh my god.
That's what they stood on.
Listen,
Yeah.
Raja, before she passed away, rest her soul, she would have done that to anybody. Shiva, no.
Oh, yeah, Shiva knows. Shiva wouldn't do that. She's very peculiar about
anybody.
But so she takes him back home. Because what is she supposed to do, right? And she knows that this is not Walter. I think Walter called her mom, maybe mommy, but this boy would call her ma, and that's not right. This boy was significantly shorter than what Walter was, because she would measure him in the doorway. She would put him up and she would like draw a line. Well, he couldn't have shrunk, right? No. That doesn't make any sense. He wouldn't play with some of the regular toys that he played with before. So she knew there was something's not right. So she ends up taking him to the dentist, and they examine him. And some of the dental work that they had done on Walter had not been done on this boy. Well, you can't reverse, right? You get what I'm saying? Like, we can't reverse that. So she's like, that's it. That's it. Like, this is not Walter. They've made a mistake. And she was willing to accept, you've made a mistake. Please find my son. Like, please stop, like,
I mean, at this
around,
point,
like,
yeah, they've stopped looking, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah, they quit looking because in the media, the papers say that Walter was found. There's a yay fairy tale, right? LAPD, so great. Yes. Woo, yay. So what she does, this is 3 weeks. She dealt with this for 3 weeks.
Oh my god.
She took care of this child. She goes back to the police station, talks to Detective Johnson. She's like, listen, I have talked to his teachers. I have talked to, doctors. His dentist said that there's medical work that he did on Walter that this kid has never been through. This is not my son. Please, Can we reverse your mistake and look for Walter? And he's like, why do we need to look for a child that we have found? Like yes, I mean,
because this is somebody else's child, and they need to know where. They're probably wondering where he is.
They're probably looking for their kid now, and I'm going to be charged with abduction because I got somebody else's child. But the kid keeps saying he's Walter. Yeah. So, what does Detective Jones do? He says, well, you know what? I think that you've coerced this story and you just don't want to be a mom. You got used to not having your son. I don't think you want your son anymore.
Oh, he would have got a freaking slap to the face.
I would have probably punched him right square in the mouth.
Yep.
Like the moment, and I mean, he said, you know, are you sure? Do you want to stand by that this is not Walter? And she says, absolutely. This is not my son. And he said, that's fine. You're placed under arrest now. And they booked her into a psychiatric facility.
You've got to be kidding me.
No. They forced her, they called it a Code 12, which was where they basically kind of nonchalantly did what the hell they wanted to do, and they placed her under arrest and put her in a psychiatric facility. You also need to recognize that
what the fuck?
Psychiatric care back then was a lot different than what it is now. We didn't know as much about mental health back then as what we know now. Conditions were cruel. It was a very dark history for the psych industry. And I'm not going to get into all that, but treatments were utilized as a punishment back then. You know, if they didn't like what you were doing, they just hook you up and they would do ECT treatments on you.
Shock
they
therapy.
They would beat people. I mean, it was really sad. And in that time frame, men could have women committed for anything they wanted to. You slept with somebody else, you could be committed for that. You accused your husband of beating you, you could be committed for that. Like, they didn't care. Yeah. So, she says, Christine Collins talks about the night that she was admitted, how absolutely horrific that this was, and that her roommate literally screamed and cried continuously, would pray, and if Christine got in her bed and would close her eyes, she would feel that woman throat.
The fuck?
Yes. Yeah. She probably was legit.
So she probably wasn't sleeping either, obviously.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. But what do? You have been booked into a psychiatric facility.
Yeah.
Under this whole thing of saying that's not your son. The police is saying that is your son, so you're coming off like you're mentally unstable.
Yeah. Oh my God.
And so they forced medications upon her. She was beaten. I mean, it was awful. It was absolutely terrible. Now, the boy, obviously what is going to happen to him, because he's living with Christine, right? Mm-hmm. So what's going to happen with him? So the police are like, well, she's just, what's happened to him? Like, did something happen? What's his life been like these last 3 weeks? So he's coming every day, talking to police, to which he then confesses that his name is not Walter Collins. I bet you didn't guess that. Yeah. His name was Arthur Hutchins. He was 12 years old. He apparently lived in Illinois with his mom. No, excuse me, not his mom, his stepmother and his dad, and he didn't like his stepmother at all. He was out and about one day. Drifter, who was like, hey, are you Walter Collins? And he's like, no, I don't know who that is. And he goes, you look a lot like Walter Collins. He's this boy that's missing from Los Angeles. To which then he agreed, because he felt like if he agreed to this, he could come to Los Angeles and meet some cowboy in some TV show that he really admired, and that would get him out of these living conditions with his stepmother, because he didn't like her. Yes. The boy's 12, mind you. I mean, so it's not completely his fault, right? Like,
I don't
I mean,
know. 12, I mean,
yes,
but then again, 12-year-olds now are way different than 12-year-olds back then. So, ugh.
I know. Yeah. So now the police have been told I'm really not Walter. I'm sorry. My name's Arthur. I'm from Illinois. I hate my stepmom and I want to come live in LA because I thought I can't remember what actor it was.
A cowboy.
Yes, so on some Western show, yeah.
Has he
And he
not
thought
been
he would let
reported missing?
I don't know. Probably not. His
Oh
stepmother
my
apparently was a
word.
shitty human being. But anywho, so obviously they just had Christine hospitalized for saying that's not her son. And
Yeah.
now they have significant proof that Walter isn't Walter. Walter is actually this boy named Arthur. So obviously the doctor ended up declaring her sane, right? And
Jesus.
she was discharged. And she ends up suing the
Thank
police
God.
department
Yeah.
as she should. I don't know that she ever got her money, but anywho, which we're going to talk more about that later on in part two about that whole lawsuit. But yeah, she ended up getting released. Now, while she was in the hospital, okay, there was two other boys that went missing that wasn't very far from where Christine lived at, and they were brothers. They were the Winslow brothers, Lewis and Nelson. Now Lewis was 12, Nelson was 10. Okay, so they had gone missing, notified. So you've got two cases, technically three, three kids missing. I guess you could say two cases because the brothers are one case and Walter's another case. So something isn't right in this area.
Yeah.
Okay. But what's even more strange about all of it is their parents, the Winslow parents, ended up getting a letter from the boys saying that they were going to Mexico and that they were fine and not to that a lady had fed them and that they loved them. Yes. And then they got another letter saying that they wanted to be missing because they wanted to be famous one day. Right?
Famous
Is
for
that not bizarre?
like them being told, like telling everybody that they've been missing makes them famous? Is that?
Well, I guess they thought they painted it out like Walter Collins. He made the media, right? So maybe they're going to make the media. You get what I'm saying? But
Jesus.
it's
Okay.
really, yeah. So, in the mix of all this, so you've got all this going on. Police get a phone call from a woman reporting in Winville, California, which is a very remote, like kind of country suburb area in California. They've since all of this changed their name. But they get this phone call saying that this 15-year-old boy who from Canada had been smuggled into the United States and was having to do forced like labor in at a chicken ranch. So police go to investigate this, okay? To which they discover on this chicken ranch, Sanford Clark. Sanford is 15 years old, and they notice that he's acting very bizarre, very fidgety, very anxious. Like he's acting weird. And they're like, do you live here? And he's like, well, I stay here with my uncle. And they're like, what's your uncle's name? He said, Gordon Northcott. He owns this ranch. I've been helping him. And they're Gordon. I don't, I don't know. And this went on for 2 hours. They're talking to him for two solid hours, and they're like, what is going on with you? Because you are like, he's all over the place. He's just acting very discombobulated, just very not normal. Okay. And they're like, what's wrong with you? And to which he responds, can I trust you?
Oh.
And they're like, well, yeah,
Red flag.
we're the police. Absolutely. And he goes, Gordon left. And they're like, what do you mean he left? And he said, well, he saw you all coming down the road and he told me to stall you. And he said if I didn't, he would climb up in a tree and he would shoot me and kill me.
Okay.
And yeah.
Why that needs to be done from a tree? I don't know.
Yeah. So obviously they've been talking to Sanford for 2 hours, which means Gordon has more than
Oh,
enough time to get away. So
long
there's
gone.
no way to track him down, right? There's no way to figure out where he's at. So they take Sanford back to the police station, okay? So now we're going to kind of talk about Gordon Northcott for a minute, and I'm going to introduce you to Gordon before we go.
Gordon.
Yes, I know. There's a lot of people. It's wild. So, Gordon Northcott was born November the 9th, 1906. Okay?
God, these
Which is
dates
really
just blow my
funny.
mind. They seem so long ago, but they're, I mean, not.
And
They are.
it is a long time ago,
Yeah.
but so November the 9th is my brother's birthday.
Yeah.
Him and
They
Gordon share a
share a
birthday.
B-Day.
His parents were Louise and George Northcott. Now, he had an older gosh. He had an older sister.
We'll stick with
Um,
Sisty.
yeah, he had an older sissy, Winnie, who was Sanford's mother. Yeah, excuse me, Sanford's, shit, yes, Sanford's mother. God, I got tongue-tied. Sorry,
Listen.
y'all. Yes, okay, so Winnie is Sanford's mother. Okay?
Okay.
Now, Gordon also had another brother who died when he was 6 years old.
No.
Okay? That was before Gordon was born.
Okay.
So Louise and George had Winnie and Willie. Okay? That was the only two children they wanted to have. I want to reiterate that. That was the only two. I don't know what happened to Willie. I don't know if he got sick. I'm assuming he got sick, but he died. And they were devastated.
R.I.P.
Gordon, yes, Gordon was an accidental pregnancy. And they were not happy about it.
Oh.
And I think that George was a little bit more accepting of this whole idea, whereas Louise was not having. So, trigger warning, okay? This is your warning. She was very upset. She didn't want another child. She wanted Willie back. There's nothing we can do to make that happen, obviously, okay? So what she decided she would do is try to induce miscarriages.
Oh.
So she would drink during her pregnancy. She would I mean, she did everything she could.
Yeah.
To at one point, she even tried to go in and physically remove the fetus herself, and she wasn't successful. So she ended up having Gordon, and she wasn't happy about it, and she didn't bond instantly with Gordon. And mother-child bonding is very important in the very early stages, okay?
I could see the emotional detachment there because you're still trying to mourn. And at that point, you feel like he's not going to come in and replace him. It's still
right.
Not the right emotions to have, but yeah.
Well, what's really strange about this whole incident is it's within the first few months of Gordon's life that all of a sudden Louise became loving and caring and nurturing, which is great, but it was like over the top to the degree she made Gordon couldn't even be away from her.
Oh, wow.
And it was like very obsessive and very clingy and over the top, just
beyond helicopter.
Beyond helicopter. And she did that for years and years and years.
I wonder what flipped the switch.
I don't know. I don't know. Now, it is said that Gordon's dad was slightly abusive. I shouldn't say slightly, but I say it like that because in that era, it wasn't anything uncommon for men to unfortunately beat on their spouses. And I hate to say it, but that's the truth. That was the Roaring 20s. That happened a lot, but he did. And I'm not saying it's okay. I'm not giving him a pass by all means, saying that it's okay. But he would beat on Louise And he also beat Gordon. I'm assuming he probably beat Winnie too. I mean, if he's beaten everybody, I'm sure he was physically abusive with everyone. Now, Gordon later said that his father was sexually abusive with him.
Oh.
Okay. Yes.
Okay.
But his family said that that's not true, that that never happened. They didn't recant the physical abuse, but they said the sexual abuse didn't happen. We don't know, but we do learn that Gordon is a pathological liar. Okay.
Mm.
Um, and Gordon, unfortunately, is not a good person. Okay. At
So
all.
the
We're
mix
about
of
to.
good drama.
Yes, yes. So when he was 18, did I mention, I may have forgot this, he was born in Canada.
No, you did not.
I don't think I did. Okay,
Yeah.
sorry. So he was born in
Excuse me,
Canada.
miss.
He was raised in Canada. When he was 18 years old, his family packed up and they moved to California.
Okay.
And he loved California. Gordon was described as kind of flamboyant. Okay? He wore really bright colors for in the 20s that most people didn't. In Canada, people kind of looked at him as a little strange, a little outcast. In California, we all know California is a lot more open-minded, and I think that they were kind of
Very.
open-minded there. So he didn't really get that attention as much. He apparently played the piano. Um, he was charming. He was nice. People would get along with him, but in Canada, he was kind of looked at like that's strange. Whereas when he moved here in California with his family, he learned to quickly love California because they're more open minded and they didn't look at him like he was strange for his
Yeah.
bright colors. They didn't wear bright reds and oranges and all that back then, but he did. He did. Um, but he was painted as flamboyant. Take that as you will,
Yeah.
okay? Now, he ends up meeting a guy named Claude.
Claude?
He becomes really good friends with Claude.
I love that name.
Claude ends up taking Gordon with him to meet his family. He's invited to family gatherings, eating dinner, and he loved going there. Okay? He loved hanging out with Claude, but we learned very quickly it's not Claude that he likes to be around. Okay? He's infatuated with Claude's younger brother, Philip, who was a child.
Ooh, Gordon.
Yes, yes, yes. So apparently, but when we go back to, we're going to flip back to Canada for a moment. Gordon loved to engage in conversations with young boys. We're talking children ages, okay, like 10 and 12. And he
No.
would like to give them rides in his vehicle. And, that's very inappropriate, okay? We don't do that. But Gordon had thoughts about children, if you get what I'm saying. To
Not
which he
pure
decides,
thoughts.
not pure thoughts, right? Not they're wonderful. I want to protect them. Gordon's thoughts was they're wonderful. I want to.
Jeez Louise.
Yeah, he's a very sick person. Which he's one of these cases where I'm like, you got to think at everything that Louise did during her pregnancy with him,
Oh,
and then
yeah.
his upbringing, and the fact that she didn't give him that immediate motherly bond. He was a lost cause in the very beginning, much like Jeffrey Dahmer. Jeffrey
Yeah.
Dahmer had a lot of chemical imbalances based upon the time in the womb. And I will argue that till I'm blue in the face.
Well,
And Gordon is no
all the
different.
abortion attempts, let's be real, it probably messed with him developmentally, developmental wise. And then the there's mental development and then there's emotional development. And so he fell short on all developmental platforms
Oh, absolutely.
there was because
But
he didn't
again,
have that
I'm
nurturing
not.
mother.
What I'm about to tell you all, I will never say what he does is okay, ever. He is a terrible fucking human being, through and through. But I just want to paint that picture psychologically and, his upbringing. He didn't stand a chance at all.
Yeah.
At all. he was a lost cause in the very beginning. But yeah, so, all right, trigger warning. Okay, I told you I'm going to try to do my best because there's going to be quite a few trigger warnings. He ends up deciding that he's going to sexually abuse Claude's little brother, Philip. And this goes on for years. Okay?
Oh.
Yes. So, you got to think Philip is a child. I don't know how old he was then, but I mean, obviously he was small enough to not know what those things were, right?
Yeah.
And it's not his fault at all, but this went on until he was like 17 years old, apparently.
Giving me goosebumps.
Yeah.
Don't leave the babies alone. God.
I know, I know. And then, so in 1925, no, he wasn't 17 yet, excuse me. So in 1925, Claude's family learned about all this. They reported it to the police. They pressed charges. The charges got dropped. I don't know what happened with those. No,
wow.
The charges got dropped. So I'm not sure what. Obviously, Gordon's got a pretty shitty reputation now. He's what we call a pedophile, right? So people don't like Gordon. I can't imagine why. Obviously Claude's family is like, yeah, fuck that guy. We don't like him. Like he's not good.
Yeah.
So apparently Gordon took this like someone would a toxic breakup. He was very hurt. He looked at their relationship as consensual. Yes.
You are mentally fucked up, sir.
He did. He looked at it as a consensual relationship that Philip gave consent. He's a fucking child. If you're gay, listen, obviously gay behavior back then was very much frowned upon. People was not out of the closet, right?
No.
Then be gay. That's fine. It doesn't affect me. But that doesn't give you the right to molest children. Okay? No. Period. Like, he was a child. His brain has not developed. Like...
Oh, God. I hate it so much. Yeah. And just so everybody knows, my husband stands on a platform, and a lot of his merchandise as a musical artist is kill all pedophiles. So we've got hoodies and hats and all that stuff that say it because I'm sorry. And there is, like, to us, there is a difference between, like, me personally. I had a boyfriend when I was 16 that turned 18. You know, that's
different.
Yeah, let the parents judge that and take care of that. But like, you're creeping up. I mean, even in the teenage range, there is an age where you're just like, that's gross. Like, you're getting 20, 21. Like, that's weird. Move on to people your own age. But like, any age with babies, just no. Oh,
he's terrible.
No,
he's terrible. But he did. He acted like he had went through his first high school breakup.
Oh.
And yes. And I remember when I had my first high school breakup, I thought that the whole world was ending and I was so depressed and I didn't want to get out of bed. And I remember Mom coming upstairs and she's like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "No. My life is over." Yeah, I remember that. But that's how because he molested a child and he felt like it. How dare them take Philip from me? Yes, I'm glad they took Philip from you.
Yeah.
You sick bastard.
That's disgusting.
Yes, he did. That's how he treated it.
Stick him in a fucking psych ward. God.
Yeah. I know. Put him in the psych ward. But, okay, anywho.
Charges were dropped, people.
Yes, the charges were dropped. And have we noticed the trend yet that a lot of they get in trouble beforehand and they get like this little don't do that slap on the hand and then they're just released back out into society and then it's like the horrific things that happen.
How many situations could they have literally locked him up and saved multiple lives and they didn't?
I know.
So it is a trend. It's really bad.
It is a trend.
Yeah.
It really is. Although Gordon was around before Dahmer was. That's the yeah. So okay. So I don't know if he did this because he had this bad reputation in that area and maybe ruined his chances of employment. I'm not sure if that's, but he goes to his dad. He's like, "Hey, I want to start my own business. but in order to do this, I'm going to need you to loan me money. And he proposes that he's going to open up a chicken ranch. So his dad's like, sure, absolutely. So I'm assuming his sister had ended up moving on to back to Canada, and she had married, she had Sanford, okay? So the people that build this ranch is Gordon, his dad, and Sanford, who at the time is 12 years old. Now
Oh,
we
Jesus.
know that Gordon has a thing for young children,
We just keep putting
because
him in front of him.
he's such a sick bastard. Yeah. And I don't know if his sister knew about all this trouble that Gordon had got into, because obviously police were involved. But I mean, he didn't really get in trouble. He slapped on. That was that.
Yeah.
So I don't know if she knew that. But yeah, so Sanford was there.
Ugh.
They built this chicken ranch. They're having a great time. They're bonding. Everything's going to be great. And Gordon has to take Sanford back to Canada, right? That's where he lives at. That's where he's being raised. He's not in California like Gordon and his mom and his dad. And for some reason, Gordon's just so sad that he has to take Sanford back to his mother in Canada. So they drive to Canada. He drives them on up there. And he's like, Winnie, I got an idea. And she's like, all right, lay it on me. He's like, let Sanford come live with me. He said, and he can help me on the ranch. It will be a good opportunity for him for work.
Goodness.
It will bond. It will be great. And Winnie's like, I love that idea. And Sanford's like, I don't. I don't love anything about this idea. I want to stay in Canada. And he came up with every excuse he possibly could as a reason why I do not need to go to California and work on a chicken ranch. But what they do, they put him in a vehicle and they shipped him on anyway. So.
Oh my God.
I know. All right. Trigger warning, okay? Because this is where we're going to start talking about some intense abuse, sexual abuse. We're about to get a little dark, okay? So, day one, the very first night that they arrive, Gordon beats the shit out of Sanford. And this is the first time Sanford had ever experienced anything from Gordon. They were getting along when they were building it. And Sanford said, I liked building the ranch, but I didn't want to work on it. Like, yeah. I didn't want to stay. I wanted to go to Canada and be with my friends and go to school and all this. But day number one, that's when Gordon kind of unleashed that really dark beast that he's been containing for a little while, okay? And he just beats the living hell out. And this went on. This was a daily occurrence. That wasn't just the only time he did it. He did it every freaking day. Then the physical abuse ended up escalating to sexual abuse. And he was sexually abusing Sanford on a daily basis.
Ugh.
And a lot of these things would happen in the chicken coop. Okay? So, he would tell Sanford, after he would assault him sexually, ready? He would whisper in his ear, better to meet, what was it? I'm sorry. Better the devil you know. Meaning, it's better that I do this to you and you know me than a stranger doing that to you.
Okay. Okay. That justifies
I know, he's terrible. I told you. He also, so he would get Sanford to physically beat him too for his sexual gratification. I guess he was like into some like BDSM shit, which is fine. Whatever, get your rocks off, sir. I mean, fine, but don't do it to your nephew. Like,
yeah, was Sanford
your minor nephew
aware of the sexual assault or sexual abuse?
Well, I mean, he was aware, but Gordon also was telling him, if you try to run away, I will call immigration and report you, and they will put you on the death penalty. Like, you'll get the death penalty for being an illegal immigrant here in the United States.
Wow.
Yeah, so I mean, and he's a kid.
Yeah.
And this is your uncle doing this to you. So what do you believe?
That you wanted here. I tried to go home.
Yeah, I mean, it's.
Mm.
Yeah, so he would threaten him, if he tried to run. So I think that Sanford was aware he was being abused. I don't know that he understood it because at the time he was 12 when all this started.
Yeah.
Okay. You got to think so flashback to where I talked about when they interviewed Sanford. Sanford was 15. That's how long he had been there. So this went on for years.
Wow. That's sad.
Yes. Now, on top of the everyday abuse that he was going through, Sanford was also expected to take care of the ranch, to take care of the chickens, feed, clean them, take care of the house that they were living in. So he took care of everything. He was very malnourished too. So he would prepare meals, and Gordon got first dibs on whatever, and he got to eat scraps.
Ugh.
So he quit growing because he was malnourished.
Mm-hmm.
So he didn't even look like he was 15 when they picked him up. He looked younger because he wouldn't be taken care of. So obviously he's staying with his uncle. His family knows where he's at. He's got to be in communication with them, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Gordon would have Sanford write letters to send to Winnie, but he would read them first. And these letters read about what a good time he was having. Gordon was supposed to enroll Sanford in school, so he would talk about how well he was doing academically, even though he never school, obviously. How much he loved Gordon. He loved being there with Uncle. Everything was fine. Yeah. And then he would mail those letters. It's really fucked up, isn't it? I told you we were going dark.
It was.
Now, there was a particular day that Sanford attempted to escape.
Attempted, which means he didn't, and that makes me sad for him.
Right. Yes. Well, so most of the things that Gordon did always took place in the chicken. I don't know why. I don't know why he chose that, but he did. So he had literally beat Sanford to the point he was unconscious.
Oh, Jesus.
He wakes up. He's kind of like, he's in and out of it. He notices that the chicken coop door is open, and Gordon's not there. Gordon never left Sanford, to kind of be alone. He didn't give him any opportunities to really escape.
He's with him all day, every day, all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, my God.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So he sees, he's not here. This is my chance. So he tries to take off, and he's malnourished. He's not, he's just had the shit beat out of him, and he's been going through this for days. So you got to think he's really weak. He gets to, the gate near the road, and he's just like, even if I made it through this, he would find me, and I'm not going to be able to get away. So he just kind of gave up, and he goes inside, and I guess he passed out on the couch. So he tried. He was going to try. I know. The next day, he wakes up to Gordon pouring boiling hot water on his back, to which it scarred him, and he still had the scars on his back. Those never went away. And they don't know, with what Sanford had reported.
Wow.
Did Gordon learn that he tried to escape? Like, was he watching him as a test? What provoked that? But he then, after he poured the water on him, jerked him outside, made him dig a hole, made him get in the hole. He put wood over top of the hole, and then he weighted it down, and he left him there for days.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Now, Gordon also started soliciting other young men. He would pick up homeless men and bring them to the chicken coop for sexual gratification.
Adult?
No, they were young. They were children.
Jesus
Yeah.
Christ.
But he was letting them leave. He didn't like keep them, or it's still not okay, obviously. Um,
I'm shocked
we're
he's
going
not
to tell.
caught then.
Yeah, I know. Well,
Letting them leave.
I think.
Oh, you said they're homeless. I mean, it's still,
Yeah.
though, you're free. You could tell people. Some people
Well,
get
he did
embarrassed, I
have
guess.
neighbors. He had neighbors, and they would hear Sanford screams and stuff, and they thought Sanford was his son, and they just didn't intervene because they were like, well, "That's not." And they knew he was dating younger children, and again, they didn't do anything because they were like,
No,
literally, it's like
damn
Jeffrey
it.
Dahmer 2.0, isn't it?
Yeah.
Literally, it's not our business.
You
So we're
can't
just
say
not
2.0
like,
because it happened first.
yeah, that's right. So he was the OG Jeffrey Dahmer. Except it's hard for me to like engage and want to study Gordon Northcott as much as what I do Dahmer.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I don't know why. I mean, he's sick. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why it's difficult for me. But anywho, so we're gonna travel in 1921. Okay. So there was this little boy named Junior. Okay, I don't know how old Junior was, but he ran into Gordon Northcott at the park. This is at the time that Sanford is in this hole, mind you, that Gordon has decided
I'm
to put
so
him
sorry.
in.
This keeps
So
going
he
off.
goes to a.
Sorry,
Do what?
I said so sorry. I don't know if you could hear it. My insulin pump keeps going off.
Oh no, are you okay?
Yeah, it's not getting readings.
Oh God,
There's a
that's
sensor
not
error.
good.
It's fine. I'll fix
Okay,
it in a minute. I just
so
wanted it to shut up.
no, you're good. So Junior, we're close to that where we're gonna stop at this one anyway. But Junior runs into Gordon in a park. Because that's where every pedophile needs to be, is a park, right? And yeah,
I mean,
and they start small talk. I don't know how old Junior was at the time. Sorry, let me get me a drink.
Junior is.
He's just this little boy that's in the
Oh,
park.
just a random new boy.
Mm-hmm. He's a new kid. And this is at the same time that he has Sanford in a hole. In
No
his yard
park,
because,
no mom. Like,
oh, well, his parents are there
okay.
somewhere. I don't know where they're at, but yeah. So he's talking to Junior and small talk, and they're getting along. And then Gordon decides to prick that he is, and he's like, oh. Junior, no.
What'd he say? It cut out. Oh, tickle.
He said, yeah, I want to tickle you. And Junior's like, stranger danger, no. So Junior goes to, no, I have a, why don't you come look at this puppy? This is why, Gordon's the whole reason don't take candy from strangers. He's the OG for all of that.
Jesus Christ.
So,
puppies, candy, like he's pulling out the
yes.
tricks. Okay.
So Gordon, he's like, absolutely, I love puppies. So he goes and he's walking with Gordon, and they're getting pretty close to Gordon's car. So then he tries to grab him, like snatch him up, and Junior's defense mechanisms kick in, and he managed to get away.
Oh,
Thank
get it,
God.
Junior. Okay.
So yeah, go Junior. Yeah. So Junior takes off running, and he's like, Dad, oh my God, this just happened. To which his dad gets his pocket knife out, he kill him, and he runs at him. And Gordon gets in his car and gets away.
Of course.
Of course he does. I know. I'm like, man, Junior's dad, way to go. Like,
if that man had a gun.
Oh, he would have shot him.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, absolutely. He's like, yeah, fuck that guy. I'm going to kill him right now. But he got away, as he always does. I don't know if Junior's parents reported it to the police, because you got to think back then they didn't have as much, like, things to trace,
Yeah.
as what we do now. Now, time goes by, and I guess Gordon needed to build his confidence back, right? Like, he almost got caught, so he's kind of scared.
He didn't get his kid.
He didn't get the kid, like, God forbid. But he decides he's going to go visit his parents, who live outside, like, they live a few hours away. I think it's like they live, like, not even 6 hours. I can't remember, but I know they live a distance.
Are they in California?
He's going to stay. Yes, they're in California. He's going to go pay them a visit. He's going to leave Sanford at the chicken ranch because he has made it very clear to Sanford what will happen if he escapes. Now, Sanford would have had all the opportunities for an entire week to get away, and he didn't because he was that afraid of him. Jesus. He was that scared of him.
Yeah.
So he said it was on February the 1st when Gordon returned, and he was happy and he was giddy, and he's like, I had not seen him like that before. I'm just used to this man that is evil and sadistic and just cruel. But he was really giddy, really happy. And we know that with everything we've learned, there has to be a sadistic, fucked up reason why Gordon is giddy and happy. That just doesn't happen.
Yeah.
So what did you do, Gordon? What did you do? He has a bag, and he tells Sanford to look in the bag. Sanford said he looked in this bag, and he's like, it looks like a bloody mess. I don't know what I'm looking at. And he's like, what is it? And he goes, look closer. And he realized it was a severed head. Mm-hmm.
Oh, shit. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Now, because this is where we're going to stop.
Oh, my God.
Yes.
I feel like I'm watching a TV show. What?
Before we start, we stop for part 2. Remember, we still have Christine Collins, which we're going to talk more about in part 2. The call, this is what Sanford had reported when he's there at the police station. He's telling him all these things that's going on, why he was where he was. They would trace that telephone call back because remember, they got a phone call from some stranger saying, I'm reporting this immigrant who's smuggled into the United States. Why did that person call and report it? Well, they learned that was actually Sanford's sister who was really concerned about Sanford. And she had been communicating with him. And she went with her gut. And she's like, I need my brother out of it. And that was the best thing that she could come up with, which thank God that she did.
Yeah.
Which we'll learn later on more sadistic things that Gordon Northcott did because, although everything that you heard that he did to Sanford is pretty brutal, unfortunately, we have other victims that didn't walk away with just scars on them. And this is where I leave you for part 2.
Damn you. God.
Damn me.
Damn you. I was intrigued. Yes. A head in the bag is where she's leaving us, you guys.
Yes, our head in the bag.
It's
so,
severed.
Ashley, what do they need to do?
They need to find us on most social media platforms. If you like to watch, find us on YouTube. If you like to listen, we're on Spotify. Give us a like and follow.
All right. Yeah, absolutely.
And catch Jody on Doll Talk 22.
Yes.
On TikTok.
Doll Talk. Mm-hmm. Yes. So make sure you are following all of us. And we will see you next week.
Bye, doll babies.
Bye.